Let's discuss the Formula One. Of course, Lewis Hamilton taking honours there. It's been a real tussle with his Mercedes teammate all season. Do you want to just recap some of the highlights and the lowlights of this the season that just passed?
Sure. Look, Mercedes-Benz drivers Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg have been centre of attention this entire season. Case in point, because they've won pretty much every race there was. Lewis Hamilton wrapped up the season in Abu Dhabi. Mercedes, however, won the Constructors' Championship by the Russian Grand Prix. They've dominated throughout the season, and kudos to Mercedes for coming out with a great car. Just special mention, however, should go to Daniel Ricciardo for Red Bull. He had a fantastic season, winning 3 races this year, eclipsing 4 times champion Sebastian Vettel. Another honourable mention would be Williams' Valtteri Bottas. He hasn't won a race this year, but he's pretty much ranked right up there with one of the best drivers of the season.
Sergio, you mentioned to me earlier that Bahrain, Monaco and Belgium in particular were races you enjoyed. Why were they?
Bahrain was really great. It was just off Hamilton's second win in a row. That is also when fans saw the V6 units truly come into their own. There was a lot of problems with perceived sound and performance with these units. Teams have subsequently then changed and tweaked them to something that fans could really appreciate. Obviously, they're not as loud as perhaps the V8 units previously, but I think they performed excellent this year. Just after Bahrain, we've got the Monaco Grand Prix, which proved really interesting in that this was, I would say, where the relationship between Hamilton and Rosberg really, it became really frosty around about then. Specifically during qualifying, where for some reason, I know that Rosberg put out a video explaining his reasons. I still don't understand what he did. He slowed down right before, just after he had finished his run in qualifying, causing Hamilton to then lose time, putting Rosberg on pole. Really controversial decision, and it showed on the podium where they wouldn't even make eye contact, and I suppose that was the beginning of a really tenuous relationship which just deteriorated from then on. I would say one of my favorite races as well this year would be the Belgium Grand Prix, mainly because Daniel Ricciardo's he won the race, splitting up the 2 Mercs who obviously dominated throughout the season. It was really controversial because Rosberg, in effect, took out Hamilton on track. I mean, I understand he said it was an accident. Footage shows otherwise, and the fans could see it for what it was. He, in fact, was booed
on
the podium.
Yeah.
And that's truly something for a season that many thought was boring.
And Sergio, lowlights. Obviously, the Bianchi accident was awful. What's the latest on the situation, and what have the organisers, what measures have they taken to try and prevent that kind of thing happening again?
Look, the Jules Bianchi situation was truly awful for F1, and unfortunately with that kind of injury it can always be touch and go. Right now the official position is that he remains in critical condition, but just like Michael Schumacher, who is also still he's also recovering from his injury. It's really tragic, and I mean for a young and upcoming driver especially so. F1 has actually improved safety. They've actually formed a committee to review what has happened with Jules Bianchi and to ensure that other drivers don't suffer the same situation. Other lowlights of the season, obviously the teething problems we've had with the V6 units, especially with regards to Red Bull and their relationship with Renault. Hopefully that will be resolved as of next year, and we could start seeing some other teams perhaps, getting into the winning on the podium. Otherwise it's been a really good season. I understand that when one team sort of dominates, that many people can decide to switch off. But this was also the case when Red Bull won 4 years in a row, and specifically Sebastian Vettel won all the races as well. And then prior to that, you have Alonso, and then prior to that, you've got Michael Schumacher.